All right, we got to do our segment.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I'll just ask you a question then. I'll talk first because I like talking about this. So, in regards to what I like from a catcher, I'm a big affirmations guy, right?
Big word.
Is that 3 syllables?
I'm struggling with that word right there.
Affirmations in the sense of like, if I make a good pitch, I want to see like, oh boy, let's go. Because that's something you've always done.
Okay, you make a good pitch, you get that. You get that.
I'm also a fan of this, and I hate to be that guy, but I need it sometimes. When I make like an 0-0 fastball right down the middle that doesn't need to be like framed or anything, but the catcher still goes out of his way and like sticks it, For some reason, I do not like when there's that like, oh, it's down the middle, like boom, boom, boom. And I know that's pretty like little league of me.
You like it?
No, I don't like when there's just like, oh yeah, it's a strike, so I don't need to like work hard to get the strike.
You want to have frame every time.
So like
everybody just framing everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like when
catchers nowadays are under that influence.
Well, I think there's a difference between a guy that's like a seasoned vet big leaguer, right?
No, why should there be? He came from the same background.
Anyways, I think it just goes back to me identifying that I do well with affirmation. It makes me feel good. Even in bullpens, like, because bullpens are the time where catchers are like, I'm hungover, like, I don't want to freaking be here, like.
Are they?
I'm not playing today. And there's, but the guys that like freaking really get after it, dude, and they're like, oh, boom. I'm like, let's go, right?
I can't speak for the guys that are lazy. Because there's no business in the game to be lazy. I'm sorry.
So you're telling me even when you were in the big leagues,
I catch bullpen, they're all the same.
But I'm saying if you had a guy that like you knew it was a strike, are you still like?
I'm still catching a strike, framing it.
Right, but are you like working hard to get it?
Oh yeah.
Now what is okay?
You don't have to work very hard to catch a strike. It's already a strike.
Right, but not. There's a difference between catch and like stick, right? I think that's the right wordage I would use. Because catch, you can like obviously you can catch it and then just funnel it to your chest and throw it back. But like sticking it is like, boom, it was right there. Let me hold it 0.9 seconds. All right, here you go. Right.
That's the thing is not. You're talking to me about catchers today, and I'm out of the game 25 years. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely changed.
It is a totally different game than what I'm used to. I see it all the time. I see catchers going to a knee, and the only reason our catchers went to a knee was to get low, right? Back in the day. Tony Pena would get to one knee and he'd do the splits because he wanted to get the pitcher down. He wanted to get everything down.
Yeah.
Right? That was the reason.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think it's just because...
Just common.
Guys are lazy. Somebody brought it up. Because he had to catch 13 innings one night. And so he said, screw it, I'm going to a knee. And it caught on. Because everybody wants to catch a knee.
I think they also evolved to the point where when you were playing, I bet no one wanted to go to a knee because of the dirt ball. You wouldn't know like how to react and you would be worried of a pass ball or a wild pitch, right? Mm-hmm. But I think nowadays catchers have like adapted to even go like from a knee.
I was watching Sanchez catch the other night.
Gary?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy on second base.
Oh, yeah.
Sanchez is not a very good defensive catcher.
Mm. I like throwing to him, though.
But still, he's not a very good defensive catcher. He doesn't block balls.
No, I mean, he's historically known for...
He doesn't block balls. So if I'm him, I'm going back to the textbook way of blocking balls. I'm getting up on my haunches. I'm getting ready.
Yeah, see, I don't like haunches, though. Well, because that's a whole, like, different conversation because...
I don't mean haunches. I mean like a spider getting ready to take a bite of something.
Yeah, like almost expecting a dirt ball, right? But I will say that as a pitcher, I think it's extremely crucial for catchers to understand that they could tip pitches because I've had guys, especially at the lower levels, who would catch me, and, like, every time it was a breaking ball, like how we just said, expect breaking ball, every time it was a breaking ball, it was this, right? So it's easy to get down and block it. But then every time it was a fastball, it was like...
Well, that's their fault.
Well,
and it's somebody else's fault for not mentioning it to them because they forget.
Sure.
They're just going instinctively. Okay, he's throwing a fastball. Most of the time he gets him right there. I don't need to freaking get up.
Another thing with the knee dynamic, though, is like why a lot of people are starting to do this is because we're almost, or catchers I think are taught, and I could be wrong, catchers are taught to funnel from down to up, right? So I think the lower that we could get with our hand, the more momentum that they have coming up. Whereas like if you were here, it's almost forced to do that, you know what I mean? Whereas if you get like automatically lower, you have an easier funnel.
You know, there's catchers back in my day where they used to crouch, normally crouch, and their butt would be sitting on the ground.
Sure.
They could get just as low.
Well, Richie was like that.
Yeah, so was I when I was limber enough. Yeah. So don't tell me that. That ain't gonna flow with me.
Well, I think there's a difference though, like a general difference in being on 2 feet, right? Because I can get super low as well, but when you're kneeing like this, the way that you move is, I think, a lot more smoother.
See how you're turned there?
I know I'm turned.
Yeah.
But what does turned have to do with it?
Turn has to do with this pitch. What if you get this pitch?
Well, that pitch is a missed pitch and it's a ball.
What if it's on the freaking block?
Well, then you pull it in.
Do you? When your body's turned the wrong way?
I mean, you still catch it.
You always want to be in a position to catch anything. I don't care what it is. You put your square body to it. You don't turn to the side. Come on. We know catchers. We want a good target, you know? We want to be squared up and be able to funnel anything wherever it is.
Well, I think that's a pitcher preference thing, right? Because I'm this way too, and that's what another topic I was going to talk about was like, I understand the target being a glove, and I understand like, okay, we want to throw to a glove, but I do really well with big guys because of like the general size of everything this way, like their body, you know?
Sure.
Because it's like, yeah, we can sit there and say, okay, set sights on the mitt, but it's the subconscious thought
Sure.
of like having that big frame, right?
I can throw to pieces.
Because if you think about it, like dating back since I was in Little League, like I always threw well to you, right? Like I never had really, and I've had freaking yips and all that stuff throughout my career, right? But like every time I'd come home and I'd throw to you, it was just something about like, wow, it looks so easy to throw a strike, right? And then the flip side is like you get those small guys, and I understand, right? It's not their fault, but they get that, even if they give a huge target, just the way that their body size is and the way they can like get super like compacted. I'm looking at it as a pitcher. I'm like, dude, it's
like a tunnel.
That's
smaller
gonna,
and smaller.
I don't know why. And it's not, I don't even know if it's like on the front of my mind of looking at it like that and perceiving it like that, but it's the subconscious thought and the comfort factor from us, right? Like, wow. It's the same thing when we long toss, I think, like, you know, there's room for error. Like you don't have to put it right into a specific strike zone when you're doing that. That's why that you have more freedom when you're throwing compared to like when you're at, you know, 60 feet, 6 inches, there's obviously a little bit more restrictions from the subconscious thought into a little like box you got to throw it into, right? And then that's what causes a little bit of physical restriction and so on and so forth. I think that's the same thing from the mental side for a pitcher is like when you see that big target, it's like, oh, it looks like it's an easy way to throw a strike today.
Yeah, I think for the most part, even this conversation happens to be bringing everything into, you know, the whole realm of baseball being digested way too much. Hey, you catch the ball, you throw the ball, you hit the ball. These are the things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Umpires, believe it or not, will have their mind made up whether it's a ball or a strike before the catcher catches the ball.
Maybe the really, really good ones.
No. They do. I guarantee you, because I've talked to them before. I've asked them point blank, does it matter what I make it look like? No. Only if Cal Ripken's up there.
But then then the question though is like, what can you do as a catcher that's going to allow the pitcher to be at his best? You know what I mean? Because there's like, again, I talked about it in the beginning where I like when catchers stick it, you know, and then when you hear that from the umpire, you're not doing it for the call. you're almost doing it for like my external confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, okay, well,
hey, good pitch.
yeah, like I know this guy, wants that. So I think I think the biggest question is identifying the pitcher and what's because
knowing that his likes and dislikes.
At the end of the day, you're working for us.
And basically you are. And you want the best product out there. In order to give that, you have to fall within his guidelines.
Well, that's, yeah.
But at the same time, you have to respect him too.
The umpire?
No, the catcher.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because like, as
he puts down a 1 and you shake him, and he puts down a 1 again, there's a reason for that.
That you can't catch an off-speed pitch?
Now, see, why would you go there?
I don't know.
Because the hitter may be thinking off speed.
I just really appreciate a catcher showing me that he's working hard for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
As hard as you're working.
Like, there's something about that I'm all for. I've had some guys that obviously I'm struggling, right? Like, my neck hurts, dude. Like, second and third, I've been freaking looking at balls in the gap the whole game. And then that breeds over into the catcher being dissatisfied. And then, like, being a little lazy on the borderline stuff, and
a pitch you really need.
Even the ones that like I partially execute, but it's a ball. Like, I want those to be like boom, like give me that, But if
what that does? What that does is it just makes everybody in the ballpark think it's a strike.
Sure.
And the umpire knows it's a ball.
Sure.
But yet the umpire is so pissed because this catcher has spent his time trying to make that a strike.
But then I can make the argument for the catcher's responsibility, saying to frickin' Joe back there, saying like, hey man, like, I'm gonna stick some balls that are balls, but I'm doing it for my pitcher. I'm not showing you up. You know what I mean?
Most umpires will say, no, you are showing me.
No, because I think I think umpires are civil, and I think that's something that a lot of people misinterpret.
That's why I'm telling you that the ball is a strike or a ball before the catcher catches it.
And then the conversation comes, what do you got to do to make sure that the pitcher is his most comfortable? Because pitchers pitch better when they're comfortable.
Right.
So I think that's the overarching barrier, or the point, right? And that's a pitcher's responsibility too. It's like, you got to know what you like and what you don't like.
Well, you got to treat the catcher too with, like I said, you got to give him some quality ups once in a while. You got to keep his sugar up.
Well, he's getting diabetic.
You need some stuff.
But were you a guy that needed, like, not needed affirmation, but it always feels good?
No, it always feels good. It makes you go that extra mile.
So that's what I'm going to do as a pitcher, right? So if, like, I throw an 0-2 banger in the dirt and you smother it, like, I'm getting the ball back and I'm like, hey, nice work, dude.
Yeah, big time.
Because I think that spreads his wanting to do it for me.
Do it again.
I mean, have you caught pitchers that are just douchers?
Yeah, I have.
And it's not fun to catch.
It's not.
Right.
And you don't put your full game into it.
Yeah.
Even
if it's like a subconscious thing, right? Like, you're not meaning to, really, because obviously no one means to do that. But
I had a guy who, let's try not to drop names here, but he was a left-hander, pitched for Boston, late in his career, had a lot of success early. All-star, left-handed pitcher, could put the ball wherever he wanted to, not overpowering, just control, off speed, big bender, had all 4 pitches, good changeup, fader, and he was that guy.
He was what guy?
You block a ball, a curve ball in the dirt, 0-2, that's obviously a ball and the hitter's not going to swing, but you're working.
But like, no one on base, so he could have easily backhanded it. Yeah.
He'd come right up to you, man, and he'd pat you on the ass. He wouldn't want the ball back on the mound.
Yeah.
He would come up to the dish.
Yeah.
And, hit you.
And then you want to catch that guy.
Oh.
Like, even on his side days, you're like, hey, I'll catch him even though I'm in the lineup tonight.
Yeah,
like, I'll catch him.
Exactly.
And I think that just goes hand in hand with being just like a good teammate and being liked.
And I think we've gotten away from that.
Sure.
I think the game has gotten individualized.
That is also, I think, on organizations' faults. Because organizations, whether they say it or not, they put us in this environment where it's like, get yours, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
the homer.
Whatever you got to do to, like, be at your best.
Individually the best.
It's selfish baseball.
Because you're getting paid this amount of money, and I'm paying you.
Well, even in the minor leagues, right? like, there's no team camaraderie. There's no being like, yeah, we can talk about being a good teammate, but it's like you're trying to advance levels, dude. Like, no one's not necessarily like spending extra time to be liked. And I think that kind of breeds into their performance in a game where it's like the guy spikes a 1-2 slider after back-to-back doubles. The last thing he's thinking about is like, oh, nice job, dude. Like, it's almost, give me the freaking ball back, you know?
I got to throw another one.
I'm trying to get out of this league, right? But I think that goes beyond just overall like performance.
I think as a catcher, you got to be willing to do these things without that, because it's your job.
Well, same thing for pitchers, right?
Yeah, you got to be able to do these things without. But when it does happen, the individual compliments the catcher. It brings everything up a level.
Yeah.
And when that all comes up a level, the game's played a lot better.
Well, I think it's like the respect factor too, right? Because you see it with your fielders,
exactly.
Right? Like a guy makes a freaking play, I'm turning around being like, yo, steak dinner tonight on me. Or flip side, he makes an E6 and I'm like,
next time,
I'm getting the ball back. Hey, I'm getting you another one. Let's go. And I think we talk about how important confidence is.
Sure.
At how hard this game is.
Oh, yeah.
You need all the confidence you can get. And that could be instilled like externally from your teammates.
Sure.
You know, like the little things as far as, you know, getting with your catcher and being like, hey, you know, I like this and that and this, and then him catching a good game from you and being like, hey, here's a $25 Applebee's gift card, man. Like, you worked your tail off. Like,
and you don't even have to do that.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything.
You can just compliment
But
him.
I think the misconception is like, yeah, that benefits him as a catcher, but that's going to benefit me because now he's more inclined to do more work for me
and want to catch you.
Yeah, and then that news gets passed along, because I was a guy that at the end of the year I would always hand gift cards out, and that gets passed along, right? Like catcher to catcher, you know how much time y'all catchers spend together, so it's like, oh, I really like catching him. Even though he had a freaking 8 last year and he got his tits lit, he's still fun to catch.
Yeah.
And it couldn't even be, he could say I'm fun to catch, even though I spike balls in bullpens, like I don't know where it's going sometimes, but the fact that he remembers the gift card is like, oh, dude, he's fun to catch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
Yeah. Are we going to throw today? Or?
I don't know what you're doing, man. Your lips start moving and you can't stop.